Well, the Subaru's been annoying me lately, so I think I'm going to take some time today, actually over the next couple of days, and we're going to start cracking on the Evo. I have pretty much everything ordered and in or here for the Evo to get this car roadworthy again. There's a lot of small stuff that I still need here and there, but I think the majority of the big things I have ordered are here. I think I still need to order a hood, tires, a catalytic converter, and I think that's it for the big stuff. I just ordered the cat back a couple days ago. I got the ETS stainless steel version for the JDM bumper for this thing. It still needs a windshield too. This thing has a lot that it needs, but time to start cracking on the Evo full time and getting the Evo going. The Subaru is pretty much done at this point. We just need to swap the cams, get the engine back in, and bolt everything back up, and then start driving that car to break it in. Then we can send the STI to the dyno, so time for another build. So my friends, welcome back to the channel. As you guys know, we have a 2004 Evo 8, bought this thing as a roller, and we've been going through and fixing it up here and there when I get time. Now it's time for the Evo full time pretty much. So a lot of Evo videos are gonna be coming at you guys right now. So as you guys remember, where we left off, we have our built motor here ready to go in the car. I had the engine stand over here a couple days ago before I needed it for the Subaru. At least while we had the engine stand over here, I was able to get the oil pan on, the rear main seal on, and a couple other smaller things that I needed the engine stand for. Now I went to go bolt this engine up to the transmission, but I ran into one problem. Some evil human being, whoever had this car in the past, decided to weld on the slide fork to the transmission clutch housing case. So I had to buy a new one because this one is so far gone that I can't reuse this. There's literally no way in hell for me to be able to reuse this thing. So today we're gonna swap out this clutch housing transmission case for this new one that I got from Mitsubishi. We also need to start mapping out our wire harness and start fixing this thing. I don't know who did what to this thing prior, but we need to fix this whole situation of engine harness before this engine goes back in here. I bought a spare one off of eBay for $200 because these engine harnesses sell for like $800 to $1,000, and I really didn't want to spend that much on them. So I figured since we did the one in the STI and I've built a custom harness before, the least we could do is repair this one. So I don't think it'll be the end of the world if we do that. So I might end up just taking it back to the house. We may just do it in the garage where I have all my electrical tools, but we'll figure it out. Printed out a whole bunch of Mitsubishi like OEM documents off of Evo Scan to be able to start repairing this thing. Fuel pump housing, I need to get that in, but another problem that I've run into with this thing is underneath of our fun back seat here, pretty much all the studs are broken off on that thing. So I think I'm gonna have to go the route of putting riv nuts in there. We also need to figure out the wiring for all of this. Like I said, this car's had a rough life and I want to bring it back. So first up, I want to start with this whole transmission situation here. So let me drag this thing over to this side of the shop where I keep all the tools and everything like that. We'll get it put on that blanket right here, and then we can start disassembling our case off of that transmission and getting our new one on.
Yo, microphone check, make it a microphone check. Give it a microphone, I make it a microphone dead. Don't step to me, moody, I could truly be moody. I could have played the fucking Grinch in the movies. I've been a part-time shadow cat, part-time. That is not a guy that I would ever want to try to battle rap. Snap, have a pop, mind right to a crisp, make an MC into a wide-eyed lunatic.
Oh, I don't think I have that seal. It's okay, I don't need it today. It is that guy. What did this just screw into? I have no idea. Okay, well there's our transmission. So, tilt you back up. Put my leg like right here to hold it. Oh, fuck yeah, daddy-o, look at that. This thing looks beautiful, man. I know this transmission's been rebuilt too. This thing looks good. You guys, so that thing came apart way easier than I was expecting. The one thing that I didn't take out that was stopping me was this one sensor that goes into the transmission. Pulled that out, the bell housing came right off. So next up, all I got to do is come in here, clean off all of the mating surfaces going around here, scuff them up a little bit, clean them up with some brake clean. We'll get that new bell housing case lathered up with some the stuff. What is the stuff called? We'll get it all lathered up with some sealant, get it stuck up on here, torque everything back down. Luckily, I do have the torque specs and all that paperwork right there. So let me clean this thing up and we'll get that new piece all lathered up with some sealant.
Yo, give it a stage in a minute, I'ma eat you. El professor is in the house, let me teach you. I could defeat you with 2 hands tied and have you waking in the hospital like, who am I? And who are you? Who are they? What is this? You wouldn't believe how someone react to this shit. The mind slips, and speaking in tongues. Sly ink, GVA, that's how we get it done. 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 Sly ink, GVA, that's how we get it done.
I have an absolute raging headache right now, but look at this. This thing's all nice, fresh, sealed up. I'm going to clean up some of the squeeze out here in a little bit once it dries up. Oh my god, dude. The Melanie is a trooper. She's bringing me an Advil. But check this out. I forgot to order the seal, so I need to order that. And I need the bolts for this bracket. Here's the thing with the Evo, you guys. Like I said, it's not the big parts that are going to like slow us down. It's all the little stuff like seals, bolts for brackets, engine mount bolts, all that type of stuff, because I wanted to get this engine in this weekend, but obviously I can't because I don't have that seal and there's no Mitsubishi dealers anywhere near me. It's Memorial Day weekend, so they're not going to be open anyway. So I'm gonna get this transmission just kind of set to the side right now, and I think we're gonna jump on drilling out the broken studs in the fuel tank, so that way when I come back here tomorrow, I can bring my riv nut gun and get riv nuts in place of those studs, just so that way we can actually bolt in our radium dual fuel pump setup in the car. Be one step closer. I also have the fuel filter bracket we're going to bolt up to the bottom of the car today to get that done with as well. Get as much on here as we can, so that way we can just start knocking out this Evo to get it back on the road, because I want to drive this thing. This is actually going to be the new daily driver once it's tuned, once it's running, and once it's good to go. So we have a lot of work to get this thing to where it needs to be, but getting that transmission fixed was one of the big things, because the slide fork was welded to the case for some reason. I don't know why. I'm assuming that they destroyed the threaded hole that holds in the slide fork, so they welded it in there and they absolutely mangled it. So that's fixed now, which was a big one. So let's start drilling out some broken studs. Back here, I got the fuel pump kind of set in here right now. There are far less broken studs. There's only 2, so I think we may just send it, and if it starts leaking fuel, then we'll just drill those out, add the riv nuts on there. I got the stock wiring figured out. I need to wire that up, but I need to lengthen some of these, so tomorrow I'm going to come back with some wire, all my wiring tools and whatnot to be able to go down on that thing. We'll get this guy installed. I don't know how I'm going to run these fuel pump lines quite yet, because these are all set up for like a stock setup, and this car was never on a stock setup when I got it. It was all like some full-blown motorsports setup, and all the fuel lines just need to be redone at this point. A lot of the old shoddy wiring in here, like I don't quite know what this stuff goes to. I think it goes to a relay for the old full-blown setup, but we're only running one wall barrel 450 in here. We don't need 2 of them, so I'm not stressing that too much right now. On top of that, I tried to go underneath the car and get the fuel filter bracket with the fuel filter installed, and all the bolts are stripped out on that, so I need to come back tomorrow with the riv nuts, wiring tools and whatnot. It turns out the harness that I bought on eBay isn't even the right one. This is a chassis harness. It's not even the engine harness like it was advertised for, so I'm a little bit annoyed about that situation. So I need to figure out what the hell we're gonna do with this engine harness wiring, because if I could fix this, I'd fix this, but there aren't any companies like iWire for Mitsubishis that'll sell replacement connectors and whatnot. So if anybody is selling a used Evo 8 non-ACD engine harness, please let me know. I'll take it off your hands. Shoot me an email, just comment down below and I'll buy it off. And then I also got the seal ordered for the input shaft. Like I said, I wanted to get the engine in the car this weekend, but that's just not going to happen without having that seal. All right, you guys, it is the next day. I am back with all my wiring tools, my riv nut gun, everything like that, to be able to fix the things that we need to fix to be able to get the stuff on that we need to get on. We're going to wire in the fuel pump. We're going to get the fuel pump, or the fuel filter bracket with the fuel filter underneath the car, get that mounted up as well, so that way we just need to run lines to them from the pump up to the filter and then up to the engine, everything like that. I can't really run lines, the return line or the feed line from the filter up to the engine, obviously until the engine's in. But also I ran into a fellow Evo owner here in the shop. He has a unit on the other side of me, and I asked him, I was like, hey, you got any spare parts you're trying to sell? well. So I think we may have an engine harness that we're getting tomorrow for for 300 bucks. Fucking deals on wheels. So hopefully we get that tomorrow as well. But jump into wiring up this fuel pump, so that way we can check that off the list. And then there's also some mystery wires that we got to chase down. So got some stuff to do. Let's do some Evo stuff. All right, so the fuel pump is wired in, but I'm not hearing a relay click on for this thing. So I'm gonna save that for a separate day, but all of the connectors and everything like that are wired up for a radium pump here. I don't know why they ended up cutting this for some reason. I have no idea. The back seat's gonna cover it up anyways, and so will that cap for it. But odd that, oh dude, I was looking for those. I was looking for these. Weird that I'm not even hearing a relay for it, but we'll come back to that. I want to figure out what's going on with all this random mystery wiring. I'm guessing this is for the old fuel pump setup in here. So I'm guessing that this went to a relay. I'm not entirely sure yet. We'll figure that out here in a minute. But before we do that, I'm gonna crawl down under the car to get the fuel filter bracket and fuel filter put in there. I'm gonna have to go down there, put a riv nut in there. You guys aren't gonna be able to see anything. I just can't get the car high enough to be able to show you guys what's going on down there. So let me fanoodle it around, and then I'll try to get the camera under there to show you guys what's up. Alright, so down here you guys can kind of see it right there. We have our fuel filter bracket and our fuel filter in there. The bottom side of this car is so gross, dude. It's like covered in oil or something. I don't quite know. I'm guessing it's when it blew up last, it sheared oil underneath all of here. Also, all of our pinch welds are just mangled on this thing too. I'm telling you, every single used car I get, all the pinch welds are always mangled. So fuel pump is wired up. It's set in there for right now. I don't want to permanently put it in there because there's fittings that I have to take off to put on for our fuel lines that I don't have yet. Next up, I want to start pulling out some of that random mystery wiring that used to go to the old fuel pump. I'm guessing that it's going to go to a relay or something. I don't know. I want to get it out because we're not using it. It's trash wiring, and it's going to be distracting when we start going through here and rewiring the crap that we need to rewire. So let's get all that old wiring out of here. As a Subaru enthusiast who has little experience with Evos, this is a question for all my Mitsubishi boys out there. Evo, DSM, Galant, whatever it is you got. Is the level of quality control that people expect out of Mitsubishis just stupid low? Or is this thing just that clapped out? This is the worst wiring job I have seen from any car literally ever. It's literally the worst thing I've ever seen. I may just need to buy a new harness for the actual, like the dash harness. It's so bad. I have bought the most clapped out Evo literally ever. First of all, let me say this. If you don't know how to wire, or you don't know what you're doing in wiring, ask somebody for help, okay? There's nothing wrong with asking somebody for help. But when you go and do this is bad, okay? First of all, why? Who does that? Do you see that right there? That connector is literally like cut and then resoldered with something that tried to be tied into it. So now there's a live wire that's like half cut chilling right there. There's half cut wire chilling right there. I don't even know what the fuck this is. This looks OEM, or it doesn't look OEM, but it looks like it's wired OEM. I have no idea what this is. XCRS satellite relay systems or something like that. It looks like a kill switch or some immobilizer for the car, but it doesn't do anything. Like I unplugged this and the car still powers up and does what it needs to do, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. All of these are like AEM gauge wires up there, which I need to pull all these out. First of all of these were zip tied to the pedal set right here. Please don't do that. That is the worst thing you could possibly do. There are these two power wires which were just shoved into a random fuse in there. Like no added fuse in here or literally anything. They're just shoved right in there. And those are the power gauges for two of the gauges up there. It's just that bad. This is what I've removed thus far of random bullshit that we don't need. And there's probably gonna be more. I'm gonna end up pulling all of these wires back through the firewall to see where they go, because I know they go to the gauges, and I know they're outdated wiring and whatnot, so I may just buy an updated gauge or two here and there for this thing. It's just, they even drilled a hole. They didn't even put a grommet through. They literally just drilled a hole through the firewall right there. Didn't even put a grommet through it. Like, the level of quality control that I've seen on this car is probably the worst I've seen out of any car I've ever bought. And like I said, I've bought a lot of clapped out Subarus. This takes the cake any day of the week. So, I don't know. Mitsubishi's just that bad? Our owners, or like prior owners, that bad? This is why I say don't buy modified cars that have been, or like someone else's project. Then you get to deal with stuff like this. I don't mind doing it because I like rebuilding a car from the ground up how I like to build them, because we did the same thing with the 05 STI with Karma. We got that car, it wasn't this bad. It was bad, but it wasn't this bad. So, like, there's random fuses in here. It's just, let me keep going to town. I'm gonna rip out this gauge wiring, and we'll see where we go from there. What's going on with my battery here? Let's just take that off. Let's get more wiring out of this. So I went through and I got all this looking OEM again, got all the crap wiring out that's just not going to be used. There's a couple things that I'm still confused on. This harness here was extended to go from where the cluster goes to like hang down by your feet. Like those are OEM wires on the connector side, and they're spliced in right back there. I don't know what they go to. I don't even know what this plug goes to, but it goes to something. I also went through, I chopped off all the old connections on here, repaired all the wires that needed to be repaired, which was a lot of them. So everything down here is solid. Next up, I'm going to pull the engine harness out of the car, which connects up to the ECU in here, because I know I'm not using this engine harness, or if I am, I still need to take it out regardless to repair it, because it is in just total dismay. But I'm still convinced I bought the most clapped out Evo in the world. I don't know if there is more of a clapped out Evo. If somebody out there has a more clapped out Evo than this, please let me know. Please let me know. I also just noticed the steering wheel doesn't even fit, and that's gotta get fixed now. Well, I wanted to get a new steering wheel anyways, but that sketches all hell. Shit you not. The steering wheel doesn't even fit the hub. All of the bolts are off-centered, and they're not even in their countersinks. That's so not safe. This is so clapped out. It's bad. All right, let's pull out the engine harness. Then I'm gonna call it a day, because this thing's bad. If you guys remember when I first got this thing, I pulled out a lot of sketch stuff to start with. Yeah, it just gets worse. Just gets worse. It's all right. We're at rock bottom now, which means things can only get better, right? Hopefully. I mean, I don't know how much worse it can get. So engine harness is out. Like I said, I don't quite know what I'm gonna do with this thing quite yet. I don't know if I should even attempt to try to repair this, buy a new one. Like, they're so hard to find. So hopefully that dude who swung by earlier has a spare one for 300 bucks that we can snag, because that would make our life so much easier. I also have to come back. I'll probably come back tomorrow and keep working on this. I got to take all of this wiring here for the front half of the chassis, like clean that up, rewire it. It's just like, it's old, it's tattered. Some of it's like covered in like power steering fluid or oil or something. I have no idea. Some mystery fluid. Oh yeah, this box was actually just an aftermarket like immobilizer or remote start. So we went through, we pulled this out, I repaired the wires that went to the stock immobilizer. Everything still works as it should, which is good, because that would have sucked if this would have completely killed the electronics, because then it would have just been a nightmare to have to try to deal with. You can go in there actually. Boop. Now that we've tackled some of the wiring inside of the car, Next up is the wiring in the engine bay. Like I said, I want to try to get that engine bay ready for the engine and the transmission to go in. Like I said, I wanted to do it this weekend, but without having that input shaft seal, there's no way that I'm going to be able to even bolt up the transmission to the engine to be able to drop it back in the car. So I think that's where we're going to be stopping for today. So we'll swing back to the house. We'll close out the video there and continue our endeavors with the world's most clapped out Evo and trying to bring it back. I still have to pull those headlights out and completely repair those too. Bondo the front bumper. Oh, and I need to get the wing painted as well as the JDM rear bumper. So much stuff. So much stuff. So you guys, all right, we are back down in the garage. Obviously it's the next morning. I had some puppy stuff that I had to deal with last night, but great progress on the Evo. I still think it is the most clapped out. It is the most clapped out car I have ever had to fix and work on. I am positive, I'm not going to say this 100%, but I'm pretty positive that it is one of the most clapped out Evos out there. I don't know the extent of why the prior owner back in like 2016, 2017 did all the stuff that they did do where they hacked up all the wiring like that. It was bad. I bought a lot of clapped out Subarus, but none of them that bad as that Evo is, but it's all right. We'll get back on the road. Just gives me the opportunity to go through there, learn the car a little bit more, learn how the wiring is, learn everything about it. So our FP O2 housing is out today. If you don't know what an O2 housing is on Evos, it's kind of like the bell mouth of the downpipe. It's not the downpipe itself, it's what the downpipe connects to. So it's like turbo, FP or turbo O2 housing downpipe. So that gets dropped off today, as well as our tile external wastegate, which gets dropped off tomorrow. I'm really hoping our FP red doesn't take months and months and months and months and months. I did order it directly through FP, so fingers crossed it doesn't take absolutely forever on that one. So that's all I got for you guys on this one. Great progress on the Evo. A side note, some people for some reason get salty about the way I build cars. Like, I'm not one to half-ass my builds and just kind of make them work and cobble them together. I will take the time up front to make sure everything is 100% like good to go, so that way it mitigates the problems that we experience later on. Karma was a perfect example. While Karma still gave us issues here and there, they weren't dramatic ones that would down the car for weeks or months on end due to some major type of failure, because we cobbled something together and made it work half-assed. So I'm really hoping that the Evo is roadworthy in the next like month and a half, 2 months. The biggest thing I'm going to be waiting on is that turbo, because everything else is already pretty much shipped and I have it at the shop for the Evo. So that's all I got for you guys on this one. If you're excited for the Evo stuff, go ahead and hit that like button, turn it black, blue, green, yellow, purple, silver, cyan, whatever color it turns for you. Color of the day today is going to be black. The tarmac black specifically that the Evo is painted. Which reminds me, I have to drop off the Evo's wing and the JDM rear bumper to go get painted. I'm also gonna nose chop R8, so I need to get that painted also. But anyways, that's all I got for you guys on this one. If you guys aren't subscribed to the channel already and you want to be one of these corners, no idea which one I'll put it in quite yet, but with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. So peace out, homies. Woo!